June 4th, 1942, 10:25 a.m. The vast blue expanse of the Pacific near Midway Atoll, where the salty wind howls across the flight deck of the carrier Akagi, flagship of Admiral Chuichi Nagumo's first carrier striking force. Lieutenant Commander Mitsuo Fuchida, Air Group Commander, grips the bridge rail, his heart pounding as American torpedo bombers skim low over the waves, engines straining in a desperate charge. Anti-aircraft guns chatter furiously, tracers arcing like deadly fireworks, but the attackers press on. Devastators from USS Enterprise, obsolete and outmatched, drawing fire while chaos reigns below decks. You can almost feel the deck shudder under bomb impacts, hear the frantic shouts of armorers rearming planes for a second strike as Zeros scramble to intercept. Fuchida's eyes widen. Success seemed assured moments ago, with Midway's airfield burning from their dawn raid. But now, high above, unseen, dauntless dive bombers from Yorktown and Enterprise plummet from the sun, brakes screaming, bombs whistling down like judgment. The first hits Akagi amidships. Flames erupt from hangars packed with fueled planes. Kaga and Soryu follow in rapid succession, infernos consuming the pride of Japan's navy. Nagumo stares in disbelief from the bridge. Impossible. Their carriers were sunk at Pearl Harbor. This is Midway, the battle where Japanese arrogance met American resolve. Yamamoto's grand plan: seize the atoll, lure out the battered U.S. fleet, annihilate it in a decisive clash. But misjudgment ran deep, underestimating American codebreakers, carrier strength, and sheer tenacity. The roots of this catastrophe stretched back to Tokyo war rooms, where overconfidence blinded the Imperial Navy to the gathering storm. January 1942. The humid war room at Imperial Japanese Navy headquarters in Tokyo, where the air hangs heavy with cigarette smoke and the faint scent of tatami mats. Admiral Yamamoto stands before a massive Pacific map, his finger tracing the bold arrow from Pearl Harbor to projected conquests in the East Indies and beyond. Staff officers Ugaki, Kuroshima, Fukudome nod approvingly as charts show oil fields seized, supply lines secured. Victory disease infects the room. 6 months of unbroken triumphs since December 7th. You can almost feel the triumphant energy crackling, hear the clink of sake cups as Yamamoto outlines the next phase. Midway Atoll, small but strategically vital. Seize it to threaten Hawaii, force the American fleet into decisive battle. We will crush their remaining carriers, Yamamoto declares, voice calm but eyes intense. The plan: diversion at the Aleutians, main strike at Midway, lure Nimitz out. But doubt flickers in private. Yamamoto, Harvard-educated, lived in America, knows its industrial might. In letters to friends, we have awakened a sleeping giant. Yet High Command dismisses, America's Navy crippled at Pearl, their carriers inferior, crews undisciplined mongrels. Racial superiority blinds, Japanese pilots elite, Zero unmatched, battleship Yamato divine. Intelligence fails spectacularly. Codebreakers miss American JN-25 intercepts. Nimitz knows the plan. Japanese scouts underestimate, believe only 2 U.S. carriers operational, Yorktown sunk at Coral Sea. Repair miracles unknown. Nagumo, commanding carriers, prefers caution, strike Hawaii again. Overruled. Yamamoto insists on Midway to end the war quickly. Planning flaws compound, complex, divided forces. Aleutians diversion weak, main fleet too far for support. Nagumo's carriers carry dual load, land bombs for Midway, torpedoes for ships. Switching delays fatal. Staff celebrate,
Kantai Kessen, decisive battle, approaches. Bushido spirit will prevail. But across the Pacific, American codebreakers in Pearl Harbor's basement decrypt the truth. Nimitz prepares ambush. The misjudgment deepens, believing America broken when it was merely stung. And as Japanese carriers steam toward Midway, the trap springs.
May 1942. The dim basement of Pearl Harbor's Station HYO, where the air hums with typewriters and the faint ozone scent of vacuum tubes from code machines. Commander Joseph Rochefort, unshaven and chain-smoking, hunches over intercepted Japanese messages. His team of cryptanalysts, musicians, linguists, puzzle masters, deciphering JN-25 fragments under harsh fluorescent lights. Charts cover walls, traffic analysis, frequency counts, magic from recovered codebooks. You can almost feel the exhaustion in the room, hear the clack of IBM tabulators as Rochefort pins a breakthrough. AF in Japanese dispatches. Midway Atoll confirmed by a planted false report of water shortage. Japanese biting with mention of AF needing desalination. Nimitz, trusting Rochefort over Washington doubters, positions carriers. Task Force 16, Spruance with Enterprise, Hornet. Task Force 17, Fletcher with repaired Yorktown. Ambush set. Japanese believe Midway weakly defended, American carriers absent or crippled. Nagumo's force approaches undetected until PBY Catalinas spot them June 3rd. Dawn, June 4th, Japanese launch strikes on Midway. American carriers hidden northeast launch first. Torpedo 8's devastators sacrificed to draw Zero's low. High above, McCluskey's Dauntlesses find the gap. Nagumo's decks crowded with rearming planes, fuel hoses snaking. Dive bombers plummet. Best's squadron hits Akagi, bombs amid fueled Zeros. Fuchida, on deck, dives for cover as explosions chain. Kaga, Soryu follow, 3 carriers burning in minutes. Hiryu strikes back, damaging Yorktown, but American dives sink her by evening. Nagumo signals Yamamoto, all carriers lost. The Admiral, aboard distant Yamato, stares at the message in silence. Decisive battle turned to disaster. Japanese misjudgment complete. Underestimating code breaking, repair speed, Yorktown back in days, American resolve. The tide turns. Midway halts expansion, Guadalcanal next. But the battle's cost in lives and Japan's irreplaceable pilots seals the Pacific War's outcome. June 4th, 1942. Late afternoon, the smoke-choked flight deck of the carrier Hiryu, last survivor of Nagumo's force, where the air reeks of burning fuel and the cries of wounded echo amid twisted wreckage. Captain Tomeo Kaku, Air Group Commander, launches his remaining planes, Val dive bombers and Kate torpedo planes against the reported American carriers. Zeros escort, but fuel low, pilots grim. Kaku watches them disappear into the horizon, knowing this is the counterpunch. You can almost feel the heat from fires below decks, hear the strained engines as Hiryu's planes strike Yorktown, 3 bomb hits, torpedoes crippling her. American sailors fight fires, abandon ship temporarily. Japanese radio exults, enemy carrier burning. But the cost mounts. American scouts find Hiryu. Dauntlesses from Enterprise dive again. 4 bombs slam home. Fires rage uncontrollably. Nagumo transfers flag, orders abandon. Crews line rails, bowing to the Emperor as the carrier lists. Yamamoto, aboard distant Yamato, receives reports. 4 carriers lost, hundreds of planes, irreplaceable pilots. He cancels Midway invasion, orders retreat. The admiral who warned of America's might now faces its reality. Industrial power repairing Yorktown in days, codebreakers turning surprise against surprisers. Japanese misjudgment complete, believed U.S. Navy weak, carriers few,
pilots inferior. Reality, American damage control saves Yorktown temporarily. Fighters shred Japanese strikes, dive bombers precise. Losses staggering. 4 carriers, 1 cruiser, 248 aircraft, 3,057 men, including elite aviators trained years. America loses Yorktown, 1 destroyer, 150 aircraft, 307 men. But carriers Hornet, Enterprise intact, new ones building. The tide turns irrevocably. No more offensive power. Solomon's next. Guadalcanal grinding attrition Japan cannot win. Hitler's ally weakened fatally. Yamamoto laments privately, "We have awakened a sleeping giant." But the battle's legacy echoes in Japan's desperate defenses and America's relentless advance.
August 1942. The humid command bridge of the carrier Shokaku off the Solomon Islands, where the salt-laden wind carries the distant rumble of artillery from Guadalcanal's jungles. Captain Masafumi Arima, Air Group Commander, peers through binoculars at American task forces, carriers Enterprise and Saratoga launching waves that shred Japanese convoys. Zeros scramble, but numbers dwindle. Pilots inexperienced replacements for Midway's lost elite. You can almost feel the tension gripping the bridge, hear the strained radio calls as dive bombers evade flak. Guadalcanal, America's first offensive, grinds Japan down. Carriers commit, but Midway's wound festers. No replacement flat tops soon, aviators irreplaceable. Yamamoto shifts to attrition, Tokyo Express runs, night battles. But misjudgment persists, underestimating American industry. Essex-class carriers commission monthly, Hellcats outclass Zeros, proximity fuses shred attacks. Solomon's campaign drains, Eastern Solomons, Santa Cruz, carriers damaged, pilots lost. Japan fights defensively, initiative gone. By 1943, Philippine Sea, Mariana's Turkey Shoot. Japanese air arm decimated, carriers sunk by submarines and planes. Yamamoto dead, assassinated April, intercepted by codebreakers. Midway's misjudgment cascades, over-complex plans, divided forces, underestimating intelligence and production. Racial arrogance, Americans cannot fight prolonged war, shattered by relentless advance. Leyte Gulf 1944, last fleet battle, kamikaze born from desperation, but too late, U.S. Navy overwhelming. The Battle of Midway wasn't just 4 carriers lost, it was the moment Japan's naval supremacy died, proving misjudgment of America's resolve and power fatal. From decisive victory dreams to island-hopping nightmare, all because they believed the U.S. Navy broken when it was merely bent. November 1942. The fog-shrouded waters off Guadalcanal, where the night sky erupts in star shells and muzzle flashes from battleships dueling at point-blank range. Captain Toshikazu Omae, staff officer on Yamato, watches from the bridge as American battleships Washington and South Dakota engage Kirishima, radar-directed salvos tearing the Japanese battlecruiser apart in minutes. Yamato, flagship, steams nearby, but fuel shortages and caution keep her out of the fight. Omae turns to colleagues. Midway's shadow lingers. We lack carriers to protect. You can almost feel the concussion of 16-inch shells rocking the sea, smell the cordite drifting on humid air as Japan's surface fleet suffers without air cover. Midway's loss cascades, no offensive carrier power left. Solomons become grinding attrition, Guadalcanal held by Marines, Japanese evacuating in February 1943 after 30,000 dead. Yamamoto assassinated April 1943. Codebreakers intercept flight plans. His cautionary voice silenced. Misjudgment's fruits ripened bitter. Underestimating American production. Essex carriers by dozens. Hellcats superior. Japanese Zero obsolete by 1943. Pilots untrained replacements. Victory disease cured too late. Philippine Sea, June 1944. Turkey shoot. 600 Japanese planes lost for 3 American. Marianas Fall, B-29s reach Japan. Leyte Gulf, October 1944. Largest naval battle. Kamikaze born from desperation. Pilots sacrificing as carriers sink. But U.S. Navy overwhelms. The fatal error at Midway. Complex plan, divided forces, poor reconnaissance, arrogance believing America weak. Nimitz's ambush, 3 carriers versus 4, turns the tide. Japan fights defensively to 1945. Okinawa bloodbath, homeland firebombed. Atomic bombs, Soviet invasion, surrender. Midway proves misjudgment fatal. Not just battle lost, but war's momentum seized by America. From offensive juggernaut to besieged island, because leaders believed the U.S. Navy broken when it was unbreakable. The Pacific War's turning point, one morning's dive bombers changing history forever.